Do you know the lyrics?
No. Someday love will find you.
Okay.
Break those chains that bind you.
So you know the lyrics. No.
Our separate ways.
No. And then we touched and went our separate ways.
Oh. Every time we touch.
No, it's not, guys. You want to start? Okay, let's start. Maybe I'll leave that in for the cold open.
There you go.
Let's podcast alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovius. Folks, we made it.
Happy Thanksgiving. All right? I won't leave this room without, I'm not gonna leave here with a frown. And I know some of you don't like the smile. Happy Thanksgiving. And we'll weigh in on Thursday night.
Weigh in on Thursday night. Shout out to Chuck the Chest, Chuck Amato, to bring us into official Thanksgiving week. And I have to say, Joe, as we're broadcasting to you from the Eford Studios in downtown Raleigh, thanks to Empire Properties, and thanks to Copiers Plus for being the presenting sponsor. Speaking of things that we are thankful for on Thanksgiving week, incredibly thankful for Copiers Plus. Check them out online at copiers-plus.com. You know what I mean? You know what I'm even more thankful for? That NC State and North Carolina continue to deliver a cornucopia of takes for us here in the Triangle. 8-3 UNC, 8-3 NC State at 8 o'clock with West Durham on the freaking call. I can't ask for much more than that. Maybe we're going to do a little OG after dark?
Not maybe. We'll be there.
You're going to be awake?
Be awake.
Let's go.
Can't promise I'll be sober.
I mean, that'll be half the fun.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Let's go. I'm excited about that. I think Brownlow's going to drop on by too.
5 weeks ago, if you would have told me that State and Carolina would have the same record going into this game, I would have told you, you are one dumb fool. And I've got some property in Garner to sell you.
Yeah, but this is State and Carolina. This is what I've been trying to scream for years. Every time one school, it's not just a specific school,
right?
Even though North Carolina is the latest iteration of this Carolina program was acting as though, all right, Mac is back. We're going to crush it in recruiting. We're just going to lap them. No, you're not, because North Carolina and NC State are literally the Spider-Man pointing meme. You are the same program, just in different colors and how you go about it. The wildest side, it's not this year. That's the wildest thing to me. The wildest thing to me is the yellow pad you put out this weekend about how the Sam Howell, Drake May UNC squads and the NC State quarterback cornucopia spin the wheel and see which QB you're going to get for a variety of reasons. Injuries, suddenly deciding, I want to save my eligibility because of NIL. That's the wildest part to me. And the separate ways that you were singing about to start the show. How are they basically the same schools? How are they the same college football program? Despite the fact that you got 2 NFL starting quarterbacks on your roster since 2022.
Water always finds its level. And as you've said, you are what your record says you are. So as Bill Parcells liked to tell us. These are two teams that traditionally have been 500 all time. So here they are. There's a push. There's a pull to the universe. And when Carolina started this season 6-0, I thought they had a real chance to exceed, to have that high tide, to really push themselves to a spot where they hadn't been under Mac Brown, because he's done a lot of things, but he's never won the ACC. I thought for sure they had a real shot at that. And I thought they had a shot at the college football playoff. And since then, they've lost as double-digit favorites to Georgia Tech. They've lost to Virginia, who, fair enough, I think both of those schools are better than perhaps we thought they would be. And then they went down to Clemson, to Death Valley on Saturday. Woo! The home cooking was strong, man. It was strong. And I'm sure there's a Clemson fan out there going, that's no different than all those times we went to the Smith Center and the whistle was going the other way.
It all has a way of evening itself out, right?
Oh, man. The heels were on the wrong end of that pipe and with no lube on Saturday.
Yeah, but you know what, though? I'm not going to disagree with you on that. But it's not like North Carolina did anything to help themselves either. Like, now
it's hard when like 3 or 4 calls like that go against you where I'm like,
I'm keeping the same energy I would when we talk about NC State having calls go against them. I keep the same energy when North Carolina has calls that go against them. And Mac Brown was understandably frustrated, and he had some real Southern charm. It was very bless your heart type stuff from Mac Brown when asked about the officiating and some calls and the replays and everything else. But I'm going to go bless your heart on, why are you calling? Why are you going for a 2-point conversion late in the fourth quarter when you're down 11 to get you to 9? What exactly does that accomplish? It's still a 2-score game. What is it about the consistent procedural penalties that either hurt you or help them in the case of Clemson and extending drives and things like that? Whether it's a Cedric Dre, roughing the passer, which I know Mac Brown was not happy about. Whether
that was one of those calls where I was like,
and then there was the horse collar too. So there was all sorts of things that were going on that North Carolina doesn't help itself. And also, football's stupid. Like all sports, football is stupid. You're telling me that Amarian Hampton, who's had an incredible season this year, is going to fumble not once, but twice in the red zone when he hasn't lost a fumble all year, and yet still put up 178 yards on the ground and still kept them in that game? So they should have been up 21-0. North Carolina should have been up 21-0, but they weren't. And then making matters worse, North Carolina's offensive line issues ended up coming up, and Drake May was under constant duress in the second half, and Clemson's got a top 5 defense, and eventually that was going to catch up to him, and there's your ball game.
The game was decided when Nate Wiggins hustled down the field, walked down Hampton at the 1-inch yard line or whatever that was, pops that ball free. I don't really call that a fumble. I call that more of a play by Wiggins.
Yeah, you're right.
And if he scores there, again, if he just reaches that ball out and scores there, it's 14-0. And the way that Clemson's offense operates, the game is actually over right there.
Yeah.
And this gets back to, though, did you think Carolina would be mentally strong enough to go to Death Valley and beat Clemson?
No.
Even this very pedestrian Clemson team?
No.
Probably not. Then you add in the calls in the game, and quite frankly, the game it was over by halftime. The game was over by halftime.
Yeah, and going to Death Valley, to your point with the home cooking, which I think most people will nod in agreement. And this is not about trying to, absolve North Carolina of their issues, as I tried to illustrate earlier. I think a lot of teams, including NC State, have gone down to Death Valley knowing full damn well how that's going to play out, right? And North Carolina's season was not made or broken in Death Valley. A lot of teams go down there and they lose. There's no shame in that. The real issue is what happened against Georgia Tech. The real issue is what happened against Virginia. We're talking about North Carolina's season completely different, even if they don't make the ACC championship game, if they don't lose those 2 games. But those 2 games are illustrative of where this Mac Brown 2.0 has been in 5 years. A team that cannot be trusted, a team that makes mental mistakes, a team that will make it harder than it needs to be for themselves, all while having this all-world talent at quarterback, the most important position in college football. And we talk about how we got here. I know that most North Carolina fans are going to tell us, if they haven't already, yeah, NC State's going to win this game on Saturday. I don't know. Like, I really don't know.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick a team, I would go with the squad that is confident. I would go with the squad that has the chip on their shoulder. And I would go with the squad that has a coach who usually has his team ready to go for this game in particular. I know we made jokes about how can Dave Dorn find the next slight to motivate his team. But you've pointed this out several times. When it comes to North Carolina, Dave Dorn has that special sauce. I can roll my eyes about hand in the dirt and, what we are as a blue collar team and all this other stuff while I go fly fishing out in Montana in my very expensive truck. But the point is, that's the stuff that works for NC State. NC State has an identity. What is North Carolina's identity going into this game at 8-3? I don't know. I really don't know. Do you know?
Carolina is still the more talented team.
Yes.
Carolina is still the team that I think can win this game on Saturday night in Raleigh, because they haven't played their Super Bowl yet, unless you count the Miami game.
The Duke game?
Back when it was 6-0. No, because there was too many mistakes in that game for it to be like my idea of Super Bowl is, I think it lines up for you. You play your best game. You put your best foot forward. You show everybody this is what we are at our best. Honestly, I don't think we've, and if it wasn't the Miami game, maybe it was the Syracuse game, because there are years where you waste your fastball in a game where you don't need it.
I think it was the Miami game.
But it's still in the holster for them. Anything can happen in this game. But there is not one thing about this game that would surprise me.
No, I'm
not one.
I'm with you on that. But I don't think this is ever North Carolina Super Bowl. It might be for the fans. I think the fans have now gone to, damn it, now it's all about the NC State game. I don't think it's ever the Super Bowl for UNC.
That's a traditional definition of Super Bowl. Let me ask you something then. If NC State doesn't win this football game, is their season still a success?
Yeah, I would say so.
If they go 8-4 and don't win this football game.
Yeah, I would say yes. It is. I would still say it's a successful season for a variety of reasons. There's like
to be clear though, State needed to win this game last year to make their season a success.
Yes,
they were 8-4 last year, but they won this game with their with Ben Finley, and it became a success. Right, it saved the season. I
actually think the Virginia Tech game this weekend is the game that solidified whether this was going to be a success or not.
I totally agree.
And the reason why I say that, and why I did not hesitate in this existential dread question about NC State football, it's because of the context. After they beat Virginia Tech on Saturday, I floated out the idea that, hey, Dave Doran's not going to win ACC Coach of the Year. That's going to go to Jeff Brom, and rightfully so. However, we might have a new leader in this is Dave Doran's best coaching job since he's been here, ... You like to point out the pandemic season.
Because of all the other factors, yes.
I was in agreement with you on that one. But you throw in those factors for this year, and I would say this might actually top it. I don't care about the schedule. I know people, they beat VMI, they beat UConn, they beat Marshall.
Sure.
That's not the point. The point is that where they were post-Duke game,
4-3 and completely lost.
After the Duke game, we spent time here talking about, trying to explain why Dave Doran's in the Herb Sendek zone. Mm-hmm. People have made up their mind on him, and all they're doing is they're using the latest data to bolster their points. And the latest points were, this is why in year 11, this guy wasn't the right guy, blah, 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 blah. So you could have easily gone off the rails there.
Oh my gosh.
Easily gone off the rails there. But they found a way. They retooled. You'd like to point out that they fixed the mistakes, just fixed the mistakes, especially defensively. And they've been a completely different team defensively. And all they needed out of the offense was to keep things simple. Don't screw up.
Stay on schedule too. Which is a team that has to stay on schedule.
Which MJ Morris did a pretty good job of. Yeah. But here's where we get to the layers. Here's where we get to the factors. MJ Morris deciding, hey man, I helped you guys right the ship 3-1 since I was a starter. But I'm thinking about my eligibility. I'm thinking about NIL. Et cetera, et cetera. Well, and credit to NC State, they let the family do most of the talking, and they've kind of kept it. And that's the right play, by the way. And you're going, oh crap, we got to go back to Brennan Armstrong, somebody who we booed at the earlier point in the season when things were looking ugly. And to borrow a phrase from his teammates, Brennan Armstrong has been a grown-ass man in coming back there. And I think NC State's identity also picked up after that. Like, oh, you're done? You think the season's over? No, it's not over. Right. And they found ways to beat a bad Wake Forest team, which fine.
Dominated them.
Not beat them. Dominated them. And then against a frisky Virginia Tech squad in Blacksburg, when most people thought, oh, you had that bounce from Brennan Armstrong. No, it was more the same. It was Brennan Armstrong kept things simple. They got the lead where they needed and let the defense do the rest. It got a little hairy there down at the end of the game. But honestly, NC State's identity is very, very easy to understand. And that's why I give them an edge this Saturday against North Carolina.
And I've been quick, and rightfully so, to criticize Robert Anae this year.
Yeah.
I thought he was very creative on Saturday. We saw some of his best work with Kevin Concepcion. There is some concern that Brennan Armstrong got hurt at the end of this game. And again, I it's just weird to me because, we both went to State. We graduated from State. I graduated from State in 97. So I did not see NC State beat Carolina in the entirety of the time that I was in school, right? So that game became, oh my gosh, you have to beat Carolina. That's all it's about, is beating Carolina. Yeah. And I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say that most seasons aren't about beating Carolina, but I think this is the rare season, if not the exception, of every year since 93, where I would say to you, if they lose to Carolina on Saturday night, I don't think it makes or breaks their season.
I'm with you on that. I am with you on that. A couple of other items. This is Dave Doran.
Players making plays, having fun, want to be on the field, helping their brothers win. Coaches finding a way to get the best players out there to make things happen. And, I'm very proud of those guys, and it's fun to see it. Isaiah Shirley's been on the scout team for most of the year, but he's been making life hell on our offense. So I was like, you know what? Why don't you go make someone else's life hell for a day? And so proud of him and happy for him. I look at it as putting the pieces in the right place, and scared money doesn't make money. And so to me, it's some of these other guys are on film not getting it done, and we can keep doing that, and that's the definition of insanity, repeating something, hoping it gets better, right? Or we can put someone else in there and see if they can do it. And so that's what we've done. And to our players' credit, you know, they want to just play. They don't care what position they play. They just want to get out there and play, and I love that about them.
Dropping that video to us, mainly because Dave Dorn said scared money don't make money.
Well, he didn't do it right, but that's fine.
It's fine.
He paraphrased.
It's fine.
Great moments in NC State history. Pam Barber behind press row when NC State was losing to NC Central. Her son, Cat be Cat, on the bench. Tyler Lewis on the floor. She was screaming at the Got Man. Scared money don't make no money. That's when everyone on press, back when they had a press row, you turned around and you were like, who is this 5'3", 100-pound woman absolutely unleashing fury on? Scared money don't make no money.
But I brought this up because it does illustrate where these two teams are right now at this point in the season. NC State went to the...
Technically at the same point, by the way.
Yes. They went into the scared money don't make no money mode. And it's like, what are we going to do? Are we going to feel sorry for ourselves? Or are we going to go out there and we're going to try to put the hammer down? Which is what they've done. So credit to NC State. Whereas North Carolina has gone in the opposite direction to tie this all back together. And the other thing that I do not like is the Streisand effect that apparently was set into motion this past week. I think it was on Friday by Mac Brown's guy, Jeremy Sharp. He is the SID for Carolina football. If you want to get to Mac, you go through Jeremy. That's how it is. You know, again, it's like everybody at every school has this particular guy that is the guy for the guy. Okay. And I want to be abundantly clear about something when it comes to Mac Brown. Nobody's saying he's going to retire. We're simply saying we can see him retiring after this year. Okay. Nobody's starting rumors that he's going to retire. We're just reading the room, looking at where North Carolina's program is, looking where Mac Brown is, looking what's going forward. And it's kind of like yeah, I could see it.
I mean, he has a decision to make. He's 72 years old.
He does.
You have a new quarterback situation coming in, and you have a new reality to college football as well, by the way. And a new league, essentially, with these new teams coming in as well.
And it's a decision that has to be made fairly soon after this game, because we know the early signing period has completely changed how we go about college football hiring cycles. There's a reason why Jimbo Fisher got fired when he got fired. There's a reason why Dino Babers got fired this past weekend, because they have to start moving now because of the early signing period. It's a rush once the end of the season happens. So I want to be clear when it comes to the Mac Brown stuff. And I'm not the only one who's asked this question. I know it's been floating around everywhere. But again, it's just a conversation. Nobody's saying he's going to do it. But Jeremy decided to go Streisand effect by calling up Brett McMurphy of what is it? Stadium and various other places.
With Action. Yeah.
Is it Action Network now? That's right. The MAC is back in 2024. UNC spokesman Jeremy Sharp, quote, "It's that time of the year, so someone's going to start this rumor in hopes of affecting our team or recruiting like they've done the past 2 years. MAC is full steam ahead. In fact, he already has spring practice planned and is currently setting up recruiting visits for December. So no, he's not retiring." Again, that's a Streisand effect situation. Nobody was actually asking Mac Brown if he was going to retire. It was simply going, yeah, I could see it. And that's where we are.
I mean, the way that he was emotional.
Yeah.
Mac Brown hasn't lost to Duke since 1989.
Right.
Like, of all the teams to beat for you to be emotional.
Right. That's all.
That's not one of them.
That's all it is. And when you put it out there like that, it only leads to more questions as to whether it's going to happen or not. And when it does, or if it does, I'll be curious to see what's changed.
Also,
kind of attitude.
You know, let's be fair and honest here too. Right? Like, Jeremy certainly wants Mac to be back because his employment is tied to Mac.
Well, sure.
Okay, that's number one. Does Carolina want Mac back?
I don't think so.
Because again, at 72 years old, it's not the same as being 62 or 52.
No.
And you are Carolina. All right. And Bubba Cunningham is really, really smart. And here's a guy who could go out and get a really, really good coach in the situation that they're in.
By the way, who just won a national championship at Carolina?
Oh, a 23-year-old coach. Yeah. But what I'm getting at is this is Carolina's Mac is kind of acting like it's Mac's call.
Might not be.
It might not be Mac's call. But again, it could all be a question, right?
Mhm.
And that's all we're posing here in terms of, do you want to do this anymore?
That's a valid question.
That's part of it.
That is
man.
a valid question. That is an absolutely valid
Because,
question.
you know, I loved having Sam Howell and going to get him and having new life, right? When they came in and what he did to add to this program. And then you knew Drake May, based on his family, like if nothing else, you knew this guy's going to be a gamer.
Yeah.
I mean, you might not have known he was a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. What do you got next? You don't know?
Don't know.
Housekeeping.
It is Thanksgiving week. We know day after Thanksgiving, Black Friday, everybody's got deals. You know, you can save money on buying an Ovies and Giglio t-shirt or hoodie. In fact, BreakingT.com is going to have a hoodie sale. So go to BreakingT.com right now. Go to BreakingT.com/OG if you want to go directly to our stuff and take advantage of the hoodie sale for this week and all Black Friday deals at BreakingT.com. If you don't want some of our merch, you can get some Canes merch too. Now, this is one of our tees, the Bad for Ratings tees, but they got so many Canes tees as you get ready for this very interesting run for the Carolina Hurricanes and getting ready for the playoffs and everything else. So head on over to BreakingT.com and take advantage of that. And also, I want to thank our listeners for a variety of reasons.
Okay.
One, y'all been doing awesome by giving us the 5 stars on your favorite podcast platform. Y'all been leaving reviews, which I truly appreciate. Comments have seen an uptick on YouTube. Again, greatly appreciate that too. And I love people who are willing to actually come up and say, hey. One of my biggest pet peeves is you and I might be out and about somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then later we get somebody on social media saying, hey, I thought I saw you at such and such. Didn't want to say anything. Nah, come say, hey, it's all good. We'll chop it up, which is why I want to give a big thanks to Alan. I went to Roanoke, Virginia this weekend, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
I pulled the double, by the way. Went to the Raleigh Christmas Parade in the morning to go
Was
see.
Enlo band in it before I rolled my eyes?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I was there.
Okay.
I went to watch Caleb. I was literally there. I was literally there at the start.
Let me save myself in real time.
Now, I was literally there in the start, right? And, you know, watched Caleb come through with the Enlo marching band. Saw him, took some video, took a picture, and then I looked at Jacob and I said, all right, man, let's go. We got in the car, and then we were off to Roanoke. And as I get to the arena, Lancer lot, which is where Virginia Tech hockey actually plays, hear a guy in the parking lot say, Joe Ovies. I was like, oh, okay. What's going on? And it was Alan. Alan's a listener in Roanoke who makes his way down here often to go watch the Carolina Hurricanes. So he, you know, in coming down here a lot, he'd listen on the radio, and now he's following on the podcast. And he wore a Virginia shirt just for you, Joe. Just for you. He's like, yeah, Giglio will appreciate the Virginia shirt. So I took a selfie with him. I had some stickers in the car, gave him one of the stickers. So again, come say, hey, I don't know, I might have a sticker on me. And we'll chop it up and have a good time. So big thanks to Alan for coming and saying, hey. Big thanks to Matt Davis over at State Farm for sponsoring Ovies and Giglio. Check him out. InsureGarner.com, TheOGInsurance.com, or call him directly at 919-779-8277. I think I've seen some insurance quotes or some reviews for Matt Davis as we get to that Black Friday deal.
Yeah, if you would like to go knock going to Cameron Indoor Stadium off of your bucket list, that's Friday.
Mm-hmm.
You can win those tickets right here on this program tomorrow. All you have to do is show us a quote from Matt Davis and Garner State Farm Insurance. Or if you are already a customer, leave a 5-star review, and you can win those tickets to go see Duke at Cameron on Friday. I mean, they're going to pound Southern Indiana, but you're there for that World War II heat, and you're there for the experience to see Duke playing the iconic stadium.
Also, thanks to Home Field Apparel for sponsoring Ovies and Giglio. Check them out, homefieldapparel.com. My dad's Christmas gift arrived.
It did?
It did arrive.
Already?
Quick shipping, baby.
Wow.
Let's go.
But yours was not in there because they sent me a letter. There was only one thing in there, right?
Yeah, it was just one thing.
Okay. I'm gonna be fully transparent here. They sent me a note.
Yeah.
And I had no idea what was going on. They sent me a note. They said, here is a code for you to use because we screwed up. Just so you know, we take this very seriously when we screw up.
Yep.
And they sent me a code to save money because your Big Four Wake Forest champions shirt, they are out of. They're out of it.
So it's done?
Yeah, they don't have it anymore.
Oh, man.
But they sent me an email like immediately that said, since we don't have this, here's a code.
Okay.
You use this code. You could stack it with other codes. But I was like, at first I was very confused because obviously we it was an OG Media purchase, and I sent it to your house and this whole thing, but it's on my email account.
I got you.
When they sent me the email, I was like, what is this all about?
What's happening?
Did they like, abduct one of my children? Like, they were apologizing profusely.
That's customer service.
I mean, I was like, wow,
I love that.
Impressive.
Absolutely love that. So big thanks to Homefield. Use it. If you have not gone to homefieldapparel.com, use the promo code OG23 to save 15% off your order. And then more deals will be on your way. We do have an ACC championship game. We've got Florida State taking on Louisville. Louisville took care of business. So all your tiebreaker situations are out the window. Thank goodness. Right. So we got Florida State and we got Louisville. However, it's not the matchup we thought we were going to have because Jordan Travis had a tough man.
Your reminder, this is a violent game.
Sucks.
Your reminder, this is gruesome.
So here's the thing about Florida State. They're going to get leapt over by Washington.
By somebody.
No, I think it's going to be Washington.
By somebody.
Washington, I think, has had... Who do you think it's going to be?
Hey, wait, now, I thought of this.
Yeah.
This is something that I've always admired about you. Being in the business that you were in.
Yeah.
You never got into the doomsday what-if scenarios.
Oh, no.
That was never your thing.
I hated
it.
You
always said, like, you would always, like, specifically tell me, you get yourself so worked up
about something that's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen. When I saw Travis get hurt against North Alabama, by the way, a 3-win FCS team, I'm sitting here going, oh no, they're going to find a way to put Ohio State in. And then, no, here's the worst. No. You ready for the worst case? Are you ready? Alabama beats Georgia.
Yeah.
Now you have 2 1-loss SEC teams. You know they can't resist.
They can't resist that.
Alabama and Georgia.
Yeah.
So then you'd have the Big Ten winner, the Pac-12 winner, because I do think the Pac-12 winner, assuming it's clean, because that might not be clean either.
No.
Because if Oregon wins that rematch, what do you do with those two teams?
I think they get knocked out.
I hope not, because I feel like that conference should be rewarded.
So you had put the yellow pad stat up about unbeaten Power 5 teams making the college football
There's
playoff.
been 12.
Yeah.
All 12 have made.
Okay.
All 12 of them.
Which is why I think the Florida State doomsday scenario is premature.
Oh, okay.
It's premature. Now,
it's here, Joe. It's here.
No, it's not. Let's play this out. Washington will rightfully jump over Florida State on Tuesday. Washington has a better resume after their most recent win to jump over Florida State. Now,
winning at Oregon State.
Now, Florida State fans are going to be like, "Oh, you're gonna punish us for the injury of Jordan Travis." I can't dismiss that.
I think they will.
You're right. I can't dismiss that.
They will.
However, Florida State does have games on their schedule that will leave the committee no choice but to include them if they do win out, regardless of Jordan Travis. You got Florida this week.
Florida, who's bad.
Don't care. It's an SEC team. And then a 1-loss, provided Louisville doesn't lose to Kentucky. Now I was
going to say,
do you
want me to do it?
Now
do you want me to do it?
Now, damn it.
Florida State's success might be dependent on Louisville beating Kentucky. Think about that for a second.
All I'm saying is, if Florida State takes care of business against Florida and beats Louisville in the ACC championship game and Louisville goes in as a 1-loss team, Florida State will be fine. They'll be fine. I'm not worried about it.
Do you know who has a bigger inferiority complex than NC State? Do you there's 5 fan bases in the world.
Florida State is one of them.
Florida State is one of them. They are absolutely going to get the screws on this one. You can see it coming.
Every time we talk about college football, it's brought to you by Wings Over. Check them out in downtown Raleigh off of Hillsborough Street, in Chapel Hill as well, and in Greenville. Maybe you don't feel like having leftover turkey. After a while, you get sick of it. You know what you can do? Go get wings instead. Head on over to Wings Over. It'll feed the entire family. And I've had some people tweet at us like, hey, first time at Wings Over, delivers. First time at Wings Over, y'all need to talk about the waffle fries more often. You're right, we do. So head on over to Wings Over. And when you order ahead, when you schedule, it's on time. This matters.
I got my favorite tweet ever, though, this week from about Wings Over.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Let's go.
Because I sell this to people when we talk about advertising.
Mm-hmm.
I tell them, look, man, I can't promise you that right away you're going to get somebody come to your store and be like, yeah, man, I'm here because of the OG.
Yeah.
But I promise you, we will Costanza this thing. And over time, somebody will come to your store and be like, buy Menon, because we say these things over and over again that finally you're like, okay, so here's Vernon Turner, our friend, meteorologist, finally got a chance to try wings over Raleigh with Jasmine Rose, of course. Good wings. Shout out to Joe Ovius and Joe Giglio. After 100 shows of them talking about these wings, we definitely enjoyed. And I said that to Ryan.
Love it.
And I said, Costanza.
Now, speaking of 100 shows, I feel like we've done more than 100 shows arguing about the Atlantic Division and the Coastal
Are we
Division.
doing this right now?
I'll do it real quick.
You don't
before
want
we
the brown
say
little lady for this tomorrow?
Well, no, we can, because I feel like there's a segment I scrapped from last week because it was
the two
reduced
of you yelling at me.
Yeah, it was reduced to yelling and you doing your high-pitched laugh. So it's just like, no, like this is a terrible segment. I scrapped it. So you put up the Neo Atlantic yellow pad in actual digital form over the weekend.
There was too much math involved.
There was a lot of math. So explain this chart to me.
All right. So this is just a straight up strength of schedule. This is the opponent's record, combined opponent's record that the teams have played in the ACC this year, their conference record. So the team that has played the toughest schedule this year is Miami.
Yeah.
Because their opponent's record is 38-22. Miami, as you know, played Louisville. Miami, as you know, played Florida State. Miami, as you know, played the next two teams in the standings, which are Georgia Tech and NC State.
Yeah.
So Miami played every good team in the ACC this year. That's significant that their opponent's record is 38-22. Meanwhile, look at Florida State's. Now, I get it. Florida State can't play Florida State. 20-37 are their opponent's combined record, Florida State.
Yeah.
What?
Okay, so let's put a pin in this.
Okay,
because you're right. I mean, you can't deny that Louisville had a schedule that was beneficial to them.
Yes,
as opposed to say Duke had a really tough schedule
that everyone knew.
Yeah,
Louisville would have a schedule,
which is why they were like a Vegas favorite, but the media didn't exactly follow suit. Yeah. And credit to Louisville for
the voters. Let's not call them media.
Okay, fair point. But Louisville had to go out and do it.
They did.
It's not as easy as you make it out to be. You got to go out there and do it.
Right.
So props to Louisville for actually going out there and doing it. But we're going to have to put a pin in that because Shawn Clark, head coach at App State, is going to join us now on the Heister Automotive Group hotline after coming off a huge win against JMU. Coach Clark, how are you?
Doing great, guys. I appreciate you guys having me on. I listened to you guys talk about wings a second ago. I'm kind of hungry.
Well, we got to talk to Ryan about getting a wings over out in Boone. That would be the next step.
Perfect,
right? Let's make that happen. And Joe, look, man, Joe and I are just a couple of dudes, 40-something dudes on a podcast talking about schedules and just go out and beat this schedule and go out and do this and yada yada yada. In college football, we tend to forget games happen, funny things happen, and everybody's talking about JMU and are they going to be in a bowl, a New Year's bowl game? But you still got to play App State. And you have been preaching all season long. We're a couple plays away. We're there. We're close. We're almost there. You guys have absolutely transformed defensively, and I feel like that really did pay off in this overtime win against JMU.
It did. We did after the Coastal Carolina game. We came in as a staff, and we put all of our coins on the table and played Texas Hold'em. And we want to get our best players on the field, and it's paying off for us. You look at the fourth quarter of Southern Miss, and you go to the next 4 games. Our defense has been playing lights out, and a lot of credit goes to our players and our coaches for getting that done. So, again, it's part of the season right now, and everyone's fighting for postseason play, and we're right in the thick of things.
Coach, do you want me to admit something to you about gambling right now, or are you uneasy about those things?
No, you go ahead.
Okay. The second I saw that game day was at James Madison, and the second I saw the line in your game, I was like, oh, no, sir. Oh, no. You do not out game day App State. Oh, no. Not in the Sun Belt. I knew you would not let James Madison steal your stees. So congratulations and thanks to you. I appreciate that. Your quarterback, though, I love an origin story. Please tell me how you found a guy from something called Diablo Valley Community College.
Well, we didn't know anything about him, to be honest with you, till late in the recruiting process. And Frank Ponce, who now is our offensive coordinator, was at Miami. And he called last week of the season, said, listen, there's a kid out in California that we're recruiting. We're not sure if we're going to go on him. So you might want to check him out. So Kevin Barbet at the time watched him, and we played our last game. And the next day we're on a plane to California. So we went out there to see him on like a Tuesday, and he was on an official visit on Friday. And he committed the following Wednesday. So it was a quick turnaround. It was like speed dating, trying to talk to his parents and talk to him and sell our program. So again, we're very fortunate, very happy. Joey's a Mountaineer, and he's shown what we thought he was. And there was a true quarterback competition for all through spring and through fall camp with Ryan Berger and Joey. And at the time, Ryan outplayed him the last scrimmage. And as fate has it, Ryan gets hurt on the third play of the game, and Joey comes in and throws a touchdown on his first play of college football.
Yeah, I mean, at the risk of being that guy, because I hate it when people do that, you could just tell the way he carries himself. There's a moxie there. There's an it there. I know we're not allowed to say such things in the analytical age, but it just feels like he's got a way to him.
He does, and he's been good for me. I'm an offensive line coach at heart, and I wear my emotions on my sleeve, as everybody well knows. But it doesn't matter with Joey. If he throws a touchdown or an interception, he's the same kid, and nothing phases Joey. That's California cool Joey right there for you. Nothing phases him, and he's been good for myself and for our whole football program.
So speaking of not getting phased by things, how do you look? Big emotional win against JMU gets you guys back in that news cycle, and App State loves to be in that news cycle. But the season's not over. The winning the division and getting to the Sun Belt Championship is not a given at this point. So what's the message to the team this week as you're wrapping things up?
I think our whole team has been a win-no mentality. We tell our team no matter what, after a big win or a tough loss, is 24-hour rule. So we came back in yesterday and watched the tape, has a quick practice, and we moved on. And you have to, especially in the Sun Belt. And the good thing is we play a rivalry game. This is Georgia Southern week, and to me, this is one of the best rivalries in college football. I put it up there with North Carolina State, Florida, Georgia, Auburn, Alabama, and two great programs that play at the end of the season. So we're fortunate enough. It's at home. It's supposed to be a typical Boone day. Rain, cold, wind. So we hope we get all three of those.
That's football weather, though, Coach. Come on now.
That's right. But the older you get, you like those nice sunny days.
All right. Well, we were having this conversation actually about the State and Carolina game, and when does somebody consider a season a success? You're 7-4. You have a chance to play in your conference championship. Like now, you're playing a rival game. You've obviously played already Carolina this year. You played ECU this year. How do you kind of view how this season has gone? I know there's still some time left here, but how do you kind of view those kind of existential type questions?
Well, this is a result-oriented world we live in right now, and people forget there's a process to things. And we knew coming in, and we lost 3 draft picks last year, and we lost one of our players went to Auburn. Our defensive end, Joe McLeod, went to Auburn, and then we had another kid go to Oklahoma. So we had some rebuilding to do. We had to reset our stuff. Last year wasn't a 6-6 record. It's not what we intend to do. So we had to push the reset button, and our kids came back ready to work. But anytime at App State, you come here to play for championships, and that's we make no bones about it. And again, our players have fought their tails off to put us in position. And nothing's guaranteed. We have to win this week and have some help along the way, but we're right in the thick of things. And people remember November, and they're talking about App State again.
Yeah, people will remember November. Although I feel like with App State, September is the thing that anybody ever wants to talk about. I don't think you've played a normal game in September, but I'm sure you'd rather have what's happening now than some of the ups and downs that you've had in September the last couple of years. I mean, there's been some great highs in September. Don't get me wrong.
No, I've had the highest of highs and the lowest of lows as a head football coach. But you want to play your best football at the end of the season, and we were very close along the way. And I've told everyone that this team is very special, and we have a very good football team. And people thought I was crazy when I said that. Losing to Coastal and losing to Wyoming, some tough games that we should have won. It should have, could have, would have. We didn't make the plays to win the football game, and they did. So just again, we have our mantra: just keep digging around here. And this is a great life lesson for all of us, man. There's ups and downs and ebbs and flows throughout life, and there is on football. And our kids have been resilient. They come to work every single day, and they play for one another.
And it's interesting you bring that up because you're not alone. Joe and I have spent a good chunk of time this year responding to coaches in post-game press conferences who have talked about, or leading into games talking about, hey, we're just a couple plays away. You know, Dabo's very famous this year for saying, hey, you know, if you do X, Y, Z, we're an undefeated team going into this game. Mac Brown has spent some time talking about, hey, we're just a couple plays away from being here. And from our perspective, from where we're at, we just go, that's ifs and buts and candies and nuts and things like that. But from a coaching's perspective, to get to the room, how much of that really is for the players to just keep, like you say, keep digging, and then to buy that and not roll their eyes like some fans might do?
No, I think we do a really good job as a staff. We show our players those kind of plays. You know, it doesn't matter if it's a coverage or if it's one block here or a drop pass or what it may be. That, you know, in today's world, you have to show kids. You can't tell them just because I said so. They have to show it. I mean, we live in a social media world where they're on their phones all the time. So Sundays when we have team meetings, we show those kind of plays, and the good and the bad and the ugly. And I think the one thing that we have to do as coaches is to be truthful with our players. And if you ask any of our players, I'm probably too honest with our team sometimes. I like to play the opposite card, but again, that's just who I am. I think that's that the kids today, they need to know those things and show them how you win, how you finish games, and our kids responded very well this year.
A lot of talk last week about James Madison and the transition and not being eligible for the postseason. Would you like to see that rule changed?
Yeah, that's a way above my pay scale. But, you know, the only people that get really affected are the kids. We have a bunch of adults making decisions that really don't put the kids first. And it's unfortunate that's the rules, but that's the rules they signed up when they went from FCS to Division I.
Well, you had to go through that too.
We did. We didn't have as much success as James Madison has, but sure. You know, they were set up for success. If you go look at their program, they were at the highest of FCS level, like we were at the time as well. And with the transfer portal, you can get really good really fast. And they went out and got some difference makers. They had great players to begin with, but they went out and got some guys that really took their program from one of the top FCS programs in the country to now a top 25 program.
Speaking of difference makers, maybe I'm misunderstanding something. Armonte Edwards is being honored at halftime this weekend.
He is one of the greatest players ever in the history of App State.
So it's 2023. What took so long?
I tell you have to talk to the administration about that. He's always been retired in my book. I went back and watched him.
What are the all-timers, man?
Yeah, and we have a kid right now, Kanye Roberts, is wearing 14. Once he finishes out his career, that number will never be worn again in App State history. And again, and he deserves it. I mean, you think of Appalachian State, you think of Armonte Edwards, Dexter Coakley, those kind of players went and played in the National Football League and have great careers. But he put himself and Coach Moore put App State on a national stage with some big wins.
Streezy probably hasn't explained the Irate Gilio conference to you yet. My hopes of getting all of the angry teams together in one spot.
Wait, does Coach Clark know Brett Strelo's nickname that we gave him?
What do you call Brett
Strelo?
Just Chuck Giggles. All he does is giggle all the time.
Well,
that's true.
Giggles may not have explained to you that there's an Irate Gilio conference, but I saw the news that you guys are going to play in Charlotte at Bank of America Stadium coming up. I think that's awesome.
No, it's great. I think we should go back and look at this. I think all of our in-state schools should play each other. I'm a big advocate of that. I mean, I like the Elons. Just we should keep the money in the state. We played East Carolina down there on a Thursday night, and I think it was almost 40,000 people there to kick off college football in 2021. So I would like to play all of our non-conference. There's no reason we should be getting on a plane, traveling to Wyoming for a non-conference game. We could bring Elon, or we could travel to NC State or North Carolina and fill stadiums. And you guys know App Nation, they'll show up. So wherever we go to, it's going to be a sold-out crowd.
Are you going to go? You going to go sleeveless for that game?
I'll probably go sleeveless and cut my polo. Have a gun show off.
Let's go. Yes. Who needs mayonnaise when you guys can just go out there and flex? That's what it's all about. Coach, we appreciate the time. Congrats on the win. I know the season's not over. You got big things to play for this weekend, obviously, against a rivalry game. Should be a great atmosphere, too, with Armonte Edwards. And good to catch up with you. We're not just talking to you in September. We want to make sure we're talking to you in November, too.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on. And whenever I be on your show, let me know.
Again, big thanks to Shawn Clark for hanging out with us here on Ovies and Gilia. One other note, because I do love that coaches have absolutely embraced social media. They've embraced almost a wrestling-like quality. And this was Shawn Clark after winning, after beating Jay. Got the fur coat on, got the hat. I love it. And this is why the players buy in, man. This is why the players buy in. Sometimes we have to remind ourselves that we're just the old curmudgeons.
Yeah, it's not about us.
It's not about us, man. It's absolutely not about us. But now we're going to go back to something about us. You and me, and this Atlantic Division stuff. We'll pick up where we left off before we say hey to Shawn Clark. I'm not going to disagree with you that schedules matter. Like, how am I going to argue against that?
I don't know.
You can't.
Okay.
All right. However, I need to, this Atlantic stuff is an NC State creation. It's an NC State creation. And because you've spent so much time around NC State, and you still do, I feel like you've kind of picked up this mantle to drive home this point about the Atlantic and the Coastal, and how, if I want to go full wrestling promo, hard times for the Wolfpack. Because the Wolfpack, as you know, not for soft people. And the Atlantic Division, clearly not for soft football teams. Totally get that. But here's the thing. What is Dave Dorn's record against Coastal teams since he got here in 2013?
He's 13-12 if you don't include this year.
Okay. Let's strip North Carolina out of it.
Which means he has a better record against Coastal teams than he does against Atlantic.
Okay. But here's the thing. If the Coastal,
just so you know.
But if the Coastal's, this trashy conference, right? Why does he have a losing record against teams not named North Carolina out of the Coastal? Because I want to take North Carolina
7-8.
I want to take North Carolina out.
Okay.
Because I think Carolina's too easy. You play them every year. It's a rivalry game. Throw that out. I'm going to go cliche. Throw that out the window. Okay. But they are 7-8 since 2013
against Coastal teams not named
UNC. And a lot of those,
not including anybody this year.
And a lot of those losses are against teams that you go, buddy, what are you doing? Some of those Miami squads, like you like to say, I'm going to use your own words against you. You lost to Manny freaking Diaz.
Not good.
Not great.
Not good.
You got Virginia Tech in there. That Virginia Tech wasn't really running hot during that time.
Yeah, the Jacoby Brissett Friday night game.
Regrettable. You lost to Georgia Tech twice in there. You lost to Duke in 13 to start, but you didn't beat anybody in 2013.
One of those Georgia Tech teams was good. The other one was not.
Yeah, they were 24th. Georgia Tech was ranked 24th when they lost to the Yellow Jackets. The other team was
not good.
Yeah.
No.
The bulk of Dave Doran's Coastal wins against teams not named North Carolina happened in the pandemic season of 2020 with wins at Pitt, at UVA
that year.
Yeah, at Pitt, at UVA, home against Duke, home against Georgia Tech. All right. So I'm simply pointing out.
Okay.
What?
Let's get back to your premise here. You're assigning me the viewpoint that the Coastal is crap. I don't think the Coastal is crap. I think the Coastal was wide open.
Sure.
Which was proven by the fact that in 7 years, 7 different teams won the division. Then in the 1 year it went away and Notre Dame was an honorary member, even they ended up winning.
But so the mistake
Coastal
that you're making
is not crap. It's just open.
The mistake that you're making is that this is a 1-for-1. That if you put State in that Coastal mix, the same things play out. There are certain things you cannot predict, man.
Yeah, I know.
You can't predict. Like, let's say, where was Clemson in 2013? Where was Clemson in 2013 when Dave Doran got it?
No, you cannot. You absolutely cannot predict who will be the best.
My God.
Or what will be the best.
Like Clemson
back in 20. No, it's not 2013. It's 2004.
But I want to focus on. Oh, okay. Well, you want to bring up Maryland? NC State and Maryland with Russell freaking Wilson?
Right.
Like, come on. Like the opportunity, and that's the thing that always bothers me. It's not like NC State hasn't had opportunities. The opportunities have been there, just like it was for Louisville this year. And what has NC State done with it? They shit their pants.
You can both things can be true, though. The Coastal can be open and not as difficult as the path was in the Atlantic.
I agree.
Where Clemson literally in a 5-year span lost 2 football games in the conference.
But you couldn't have predicted that.
I agree with you on that point.
That.
I agree with that. Now, how about this? Let's use this as a more of a mental exercise. Because going forward, I do think there is something to this other than you and I arguing about it. Okay?
I maintain that this is a complete NC State Debbie Yao creation.
Sure. We disagree on that.
I don't think Louisville Sports Talk Radio was spending a bunch of time going about, man, if we just hadn't been in the Atlantic Division.
But do you know who would have? If there were more people who paid attention to them?
Yeah.
You know my opinion of Dave Clawson.
Mm-hmm.
You know my opinion of Dave Clawson. I think he's the best coach in college football.
And what did they do?
Well, from 16 through 19 in those 4 years when he started getting them going and had lifted himself up from those early years, right?
Yeah.
16 through 19, they went 14-18 in the league. You want to Bizdelic this thing. Now take out the 4 losses to Clemson.
Our radio people told us that you take away those runs and we outscored them by 19.
Because not only did he lose to Clemson every year in those 4 years, they lost the next game.
Sure.
And that is where I'm trying to get with you with Duke this year. Duke goes to Florida State, pours that thing out.
Yeah.
Riley Leonard comes in and plays when he probably shouldn't have played.
Yeah.
Okay. They lose the game after pouring it out. The very next week, they have to go on the road and play Louisville, and they played like a team that had poured it out the previous week and had their guts stomped on and had nothing left to produce. I think that is the constant. To your point, can you predict if Clemson and Florida State would turn into the teams that they were in the 2010s? You could not have lucidly predicted that in 2004 when they made the divisions. But to tie this and move this forward, because now you're going to see a lot more teams and conferences go to divisionless models, right? If you're Penn State right now, like we could sit here lucidly in 2023 and say,
look who just won their division in the Big Ten.
Iowa. But I'm saying, like, we could lucidly say it, and look who they don't play.
Sure.
But like, we could lucidly say it's a good thing if you are in the Big Ten to not play Ohio State and Michigan on an annual basis.
Yeah,
that's a good thing for your program.
Yeah. But here's the mistake that we're making. Michigan and Ohio State continue to be perennial college football powerhouses. Ohio State is set up to win all the time.
Right.
The problem with the ACC is that none of these schools in the ACC have that kind of reputation.
I mean, they were on that run. Clemson was on that run. To your point, it was not predictable. What I'm saying, though, is
you got to remember I can't hammer this point enough. When Dabo got the job, let's not act like people did not look at that Dabo getting the job and going, man, Clemson's punted.
Here comes Clemson. Yeah.
Nobody thought that.
Correct.
And we got to remember, Clemsoning was still a thing under Dabo up until that point. Okay. And then Florida State obviously has gone through the wilderness and nothing's guaranteed. But like Miami is supposed to be the Ohio State Michigan equivalent. Virginia Tech is supposed to be the Miami Ohio State or the Ohio State Michigan equivalent. But those teams never were. So the ACC, if things were going the way they were supposed to go, the Coastal Division never spits out 7 different division champions. It was supposed to be Miami. It was supposed to be Virginia Tech in the same way that you see Michigan and Ohio State. But on the flip side, on the Atlantic too, which they had their ups and downs. Yeah, you got to remember Boston College rep, for heaven's sake, Boston freaking College repped the Atlantic Division, Joe.
I understand that, but I think going forward, the schedule is going to be the most important part of almost every team that's not named Georgia and Alabama's schedule.
I cannot disagree with you on that, but I think those are 2 separate conversations. Okay. I think you're trying to use this year to relitigate the classic Atlantic versus Coastal.
I'm pointing out that this year. So you're caught on Coastal and Atlantic.
So are you?
No. I'm caught on not having to go through the best team.
Do I need to bring up the tweet with the winky face?
Well, that is true though. Look at this year. Look at Louisville. Look who they avoided.
But you're using a 1-year sample, by the way. A 1-year sample.
It's not a 1-year sample. It's a 12-year
1-year sample of this year where Louisville goes.
Well, we only have 1 divisionless year. But my point,
technically 2.
The overarching point
Yeah.
If you avoid the best teams in the conference,
Well,
guess
no,
what you're going to get?
That's a no shit the magazine exclusive.
That's why I don't understand why you argue with me about it.
Because that doesn't mean you're going to get there every freaking time.
Of course not.
And when NC State
just makes it an easier
and
path.
This is why I get back to NC State, because all this is deep-seated in all of this is the resentment from NC State fans.
You don't think in 2017 that NC State at 6-2 would have been in the ACC championship game?
No, because NC State has a history of having it there for them, only for something to get yanked.
Win.
They are Charlie Brown.
I'm not suggesting to you they were going to win.
They are Charlie Brown with the football, Joe. Okay. They are Charlie Brown with the football. Something would have yanked it from them.
These are totally different concepts.
But you're the purveyor of the law of the wolf.
I am.
They're all tied together, in my opinion. So
that's fair.
And that's why I truly, I'm not just saying this to be a troll.
But Louisville's got nothing to do with the law of the wolf. Although if State beat Louisville this year.
Right? It was there for State. It was there to tie it back to the start of the conversation today. If somewhere there's going to be an NC State fan that's looking at the existential dread of the season, and if they beat Carolina, they're going to look back to that Louisville game and go, "What could have been?" And they'll still be mad. You should have beaten Louisville. It was right there for you. You could have been in the ACC championship game, which is the history of NC State sports, for heaven's sake. And that's why I think this is a deep-seated issue for State specifically. I brought up Louisville. If you and I were Mark Ennis and Nick Coffey and all those guys out in Louisville covering the Cardinals, okay, we'd be watching really shitty basketball.
They fought yesterday against Texas.
Buddy.
That was big.
Buddy.
Progress.
Louisville's going to screw the ACC again. But we would not be sitting here pounding the table talking about what could have been in the Atlantic Division because they don't have a neighbor up the way that makes it seem like, had we just been there?
Okay, well, okay, now let's go to the flip side of this. You don't think Duke and Carolina benefited from not playing Clemson on an annual basis?
They benefited.
Okay.
Sure, they benefited.
Okay.
But you and I both also agree that you still have to go out and win the damn ball games. And on top of that, okay, so cool. Let's keep this going further. Cool. NC State's in the Coastal. They're one of the 7 teams that ends up going to the ACC championship game. What happens then, Joe?
Then they lose to Clemson like everyone else did.
Then they get their ass handed to them by Clemson or Florida State.
But
like what happened to Duke.
Something that says we won something.
Which doesn't mean shit when you get it right. Like I'm seeing this happen with Carolina fans.
I don't know.
No.
Matters
Look,
to me.
Again, it does matter because if we tie all these conversations together, like we said, like earlier, before we move on to the NFL, we talked about Mac Brown to start the show.
Yeah.
And you said, does Carolina want Mac Brown back? Which I think is a valid question. And, the Mac Brown supporters were like, well, whoa. I mean, we're literally we won the last division ever.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to the championship game and we went to a New Year's Six bowl game. Like, what more do you want? It's still not good enough. You see, there's levels to this. Even Wake Forest fans.
This year, yeah.
Even Wake Forest fans. And I felt bad, man. That's got to be tough, man. Going to South. At least that game was not in Winston-Salem because it would have been even sadder to watch. Sam Hartman. It would have been sad.
That was just insult to injury because losing to State at home, they never lose to State at home. And they weren't even competitive against State.
They never do. They never do. But anyway, I think you and I,
we're not having the same argument. I think you give me certain points of this argument that I'm not even trying to make.
But whether you admit it or not, you're feeding. No, Joe, you're feeding the narrative.
We agree on most of the things that we're saying.
Yeah.
If you are saying that it was a detriment to play the best team in the conference every year, it was a advantage for Carolina and Duke not to.
I'm really trying hard to not go bootstraps energy there. And not go full Pat Narduzzi on you.
Well,
it's so hard to beat Clemson. I did it.
You also know how I feel about scheduling when it comes to Duke basketball and Carolina basketball. You'll never have the hardest schedule because you can't play yourselves.
No.
Duke, you'll never have the hardest schedule. You can't play Duke at Duke.
No, you're right. You're right. What doesn't have to be hard? You know how you can actually make, scheduling easier for you?
How?
Hometown Realty. Oh. Doesn't have to be that hard buying a house. Doesn't have to be that hard selling a house.
Especially new construction. Man, I just saw a big story on the development on 401 in my neck of the woods and went for $14 million, the land. I was like, wow. But I was like, I know who will be in there and I know who can help you get in there. Hometown Realty. Go to myhtr.com. That is their specialty, new construction. myhtr.com website could not be any easier or efficient. Buy, sell, right in the middle of the screen. They also have the mortgage calculator. So check them out. It's myhtr.com.
Another road trip, and I avoided any sort of traffic violations.
Oh, that's good. I finished my 4-hour defensive driving class that I took online over the weekend. It was a challenge for sure. It was a challenge to my patience for sure.
Yeah.
Lesson learned for sure.
Yeah.
Also, I'm glad to have Whitaker and Hamer on my side to help me get through this. WH.lawyer, Josh Whitaker, Joe Hamer, all the locations, all the experience. Closing on a house, you need some help. Selling a business, need some help. Family law, needs some help. Traffic issues, need some help. Notice the pattern, you need some help. Check them out, wh.lawyer.
Would Sleek Fleet take me to Detroit?
Probably not.
Roanoke?
No, you're going to have to handle those out-of-town trips.
How about the State Carolina game?
Absolutely, they
Let's
would.
go.
They would be there for us on Saturday night. You know where else they'll be for us? On Wednesday. I don't know about you, Joe. I got a lot of cooking to do. I don't got time to go to the airport. You know who does? Tyler, Sleek Fleet. It's sleek-fleet.com. Even my glasses aren't good enough, though. So you're going to have to read the phone number to give them a call. But it says it right there. Ditch your average ride share. And it's the truth. Airport, arenas, stadiums, you name it. You want to go out downtown. Maybe you don't want to cook on Wednesday. Maybe you just want to go out downtown.
Yeah.
Don't want to pay for parking. Safely have a drink and not worry about any of those other issues. Well, sleek-fleet.com.
919-335-8840. Again, that's 919-335-8840.
And you might even say, well, why wouldn't I just get one of those other things? Trust me, you want to go in style. Trust me, you want to go and be taken care of. Sleek Fleet is your answer.
Do we have to talk about the Panthers?
I believe our contract with Graffiti says it's a good idea for us to talk about the Panthers.
We do.
And when we do, it's brought to you by, I mean, we could just skip. We could just yada, yada, yada.
No,
the best part.
no. We'll get to Graffiti in a second. So I came back from youth hockey in Roanoke. So I had to run errands, because Kelly was coming back from Denver. She was out of town. So I was like, all right, let me go to Costco. Let me go to Wegmans. Let me go to Publix. Can I get some stuff, right? And so I listened to the game because I'm like, I'm not going to, the Panthers have gotten to the point where I think a lot of people, including the people who didn't want to go to Bank of America Stadium as it became a Cowboys home game. And I'll get to a clip in a second from Frank Reich. The decision, the calculus of, do I want to sit and watch this team or do I want to go run errands has hit. We're at that point. We're at this inflection point. I would say we're at this inflection point for a while now. And I want to say, if I can actually, do I have it? No, I don't have. Somebody had reached out to me on Threads saying, it's like, man, even Jake Delhomme is like sick of this crap. I was listening to the same broadcast and I responded, I'm like, yeah, man, like props to Jake Delhomme, Panther legend, for not being worried at all for what he says on the team broadcast. Because David Tepper's got ears on that thing. And that NFL owners want a positive vibes only type broadcast. But there's nothing to be positive about with the Carolina Panthers right now. And I think Jake Delhomme put it best on the broadcast while I was driving around running errands. They can't make the routine. I mean, that's some life wisdom. You got to be able to make the routine actually routine. And the Panthers make everything difficult for themselves, even after making it a game 17-10 with a really great drive by Bryce Young and the crew. They then started to shoot themselves in the foot like they have been doing all season long. And I'm not sitting here trying to absolve Bryce Young either. Bryce Young did not have a great game. He's a rookie. He's going to have his ups and downs. He had a pick six. I would put the fumble more on the Dallas Cowboys making a play and the offensive line issues once again coming home to roost. But it really is, to your point, Joe, you can kind of yada, yada, yada Panthers conversation because most of their issues and why they get routed by a team like the Cowboys is the same reason why they can't beat a winnable, they can't get the winnable game like we saw at the beginning of the season. It's maddening to watch the Panthers right now.
Can we get to the fast forward button yet on this?
What, firing Frank Reich?
Just all of it.
Yeah.
They're going to sell shirts. Well, we didn't go 0-17. I mean, that's basically what this is going to come down to.
Sure. Here's Frank Reich. Frank Reich was asked about the crowd and people just kind of giving up on this team.
Frank, understanding that this is your first year here, but I mean, it's the 6 straight losing seasons now, and I mean, you saw the crowd and how many Cowboy fans and Panthers fans gave up their tickets. I know you wanted to turn things around here right away, but how frustrating is this to not be able to do that right now?
No, it's very frustrating. When you work hard and you believe in the guys you're doing it with, and I believe in our coaches and players, not getting the results you want is frustrating. And so I'm frustrated most of all for them, but I'm certainly frustrated for the fans as well. I've been in this game a long time. I've had a great appreciation for fan bases wherever I've been and what that means to a team and what that means to a city. So I understand the level of frustration, by the fans. And, we had the change here that we had, and, you start to set things in place to make a change. And you want it to happen overnight. Sometimes it takes longer than you want, but you have to keep your head down, be strong-willed, keep the vision clear, and come to work every day. And you've got to be able to fight your way through the tough times.
So again, that's Frank Reich, head coach of the Carolina Panthers. By the way, I don't blame fans for selling their tickets to Cowboys fans. I don't blame fans for checking out. I don't blame fans for saying I'd rather go do a Costco run than watch or listen to this Panthers squad. And I think the rot has set in for the Carolina Panthers that it goes beyond who the next coach is going to be. Because even if they fire Frank Reich and they get rid of Scott Fitterer and they try to go with a new clean slate, the biggest issue is that nobody believes that David Tepper is going to be able to turn this thing around. And I don't know, maybe I stumbled into something last week, Joe, where we talked about David Tepper and distressed assets and things like that. It doesn't matter what David Tepper does with this organization. He's still going to be able to turn around and sell the Panthers for a profit, because that's what happens with NFL franchise valuations. It's like the greatest Ponzi scheme of all time. It's going up in the straight line. So
but I wouldn't count on that happening.
No, I don't think he's going to sell it anytime soon. I'm just saying that I feel like the better move is for David Tepper to sell the team than actually try to keep doing what he's doing, because clearly it has not worked. And I don't know if he's learned a lesson this go around either. Because that's the thing. Remember, we tried to give David Tepper credit after getting rid of Matt Rule.
Yeah.
And going in the direction he did with Frank Reich. You're putting some adults in the room. Cool. Of course.
And you're trying to solve your quarterback problem. I didn't agree with how they went about it, but I understood the premise.
So are you going to learn the lessons there too? Like, all right, you know what? Maybe I need to have a GM and a coach on the same page. You know what? Maybe I need to get out of the way and actually trust because again, it's like incremental steps, right? Okay, I got the adults in the room, but did I trust the adults in the room to make the right personnel decisions? That's open to interpretation. With the next go around, are you going to go younger, innovative on offense to get the most out of Bryce Young? Because that's probably the most infuriating part, if you did watch that game, was on that 17-play drive that resulted in a touchdown to make it, I think, 17 or 14-play drive that made it 17-10. In that, look at that. Like, you ran the ball. Yeah, okay. You saw Bryce Young under center a little bit here. Oh, okay. Well, where the hell has this been? But of course, again, the Panthers find ways to lose, just like the Jets continue to find interesting new ways to lose. They finally benched Zach Wilson. They finally, Tim Boyle or whoever it is. Who's the Boyle? Right? Isn't that the quarterback they put in there? Let me ask you. Let me preface it like this: is Tommy DeVito the best quarterback in New York right now?
Ouch! How? But true.
Even with Aaron Rodgers at 80%, is Tommy DeVito the best quarterback in New York right now after the Giants beat Washington?
It's crazy how bad the NFL has been this year.
Whew.
Imagine if we didn't have Taylor Swift and we get the bonanza tonight. But
yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit tomorrow.
The NFL has stunk this year.
It has.
We had the Joey Burrow injury on Thursday. I mean, it's just the game. I'm trying to watch a little bit of last night between Minnesota and Denver, and Chris Collinsworth's giving me the hard sell at the beginning of that game. And I'm like, Chris, sir, no.
Although, props to Denver. Denver has kind of picked itself up. They actually are in the wild card hunt all of a sudden.
Yeah, boy.
Russell Wilson is staying within himself, which good for him. Cool. But like, did you watch any of the Steelers and Browns?
I saw the stats from Kenny Pickett's passing chart. That was peak Canada.
Poor Brooke Pryor, man. I was following because she spent some more time on Threads this weekend.
Oh, wait a second. Maybe David Tepper did learn something from the Steelers.
And that is
if they think Matt Canada is a good idea.
Oh, maybe he'll take back
with Matt Canada.
Hey,
oh no,
maybe
no.
Maybe you just stumbled onto it. Maybe as the this is the perfect marriage. The Matt Canada falling up trajectory.
Next head coach of the Carolina Panthers.
Steeler guy. Brooke Pryor was threading through it. Najee Harris is like, I'm tired of this shit.
Najee Harris who got benched.
Right. Just tired of this shit.
Guess what?
Yeah, well, I mean, it is what it is.
You never want to be the starter for Matt Canada. You always want to be the backup.
It's just brutal. But in the Chargers find yet another way to lose. I'm guessing Brandon Staley is going to be out of a job at the end of the season. The Dolphins. Here's the funny thing about the Dolphins.
My guys did not unleash the fury.
Well, it's good to get Jalen Ramsey back. I think that was obviously a difference. But in an ugly season where everybody's been getting hurt and all that kind of stuff, the Dolphins cannot afford to have, Tyreek Hill off the field at times. They get A-Chain back, and then he's not back because he got hurt again. So it's just what's happening to the Dolphins is very, in line with what we've been seeing across the NFL. But that's not to say that the NFL is filled with doom and gloom stories. There are some hilarious stories like the Aaron Rodgers thing. Aaron Rodgers saying he wants to be back on December 2nd, according to reports. Injury. It's not a fake injury. Totally not a fake injury. He's going to be back on December 2nd. But for what? Losing to the Buffalo Bills. I think Aaron Schatz of what FTN now used to be with Football Outsiders had moved the Jets' playoff probability from 33% to 3% after losing to the Buffalo Bills. So what's Aaron Rodgers coming back for exactly? To hurt himself again? By rushing himself back from this injury?
Oh, no, I heard they're going to make a trade for Devontae Adams.
Well, that gets to another question, too. What, again, as much as we can make fun of Zach Wilson, the Jets are the problem. To tie this back to Taylor Swift, it's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. Why do they think getting the band back together at this point in time is the answer for the Jets' problems? Okay. And this continued with the Jets conversation where people were banging on the Jets for sticking with Zach Wilson. I'm just going to float this out there. Do you think that if the Jets had actually gone out and gotten a capable quarterback while they were still in playoff contention, let's say they made a trade for Kirk Cousins. Let's say by the way, they could have had Josh Dobbs. All right. Let's say they made the move for Josh Dobbs and they put a competent quarterback in there. You know who would have hated that? You know what would have caused more drama?
Aaron
Rodgers would have lost his shit because, again, the entire premise for Aaron Rodgers is I'm the one who can fix this. I'm the one that's going to come back and white knight the situation, and it's going to be the greatest thing you've ever seen out of a 40-year-old. Screw you, Tom Brady. I'm going to take New York back. But that's what this is about. There's no way that Aaron Rodgers would have handled this in any sort of sane way because the guy's a weirdo, straight up. So the Jets continue to provide in the fun and frivolity. But it's not all doom and gloom. Props to the Detroit Lions, man.
Our guys.
Detroit Lions, they haven't been this good since the 60s, Joe. The 60s. When football players had to have second jobs. Where football actually probably was the second job.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That's how long this has been, man. So it's not all doom and gloom. And I do think that Jared Goff is a wonderful comeback story for how the Detroit Lions have gotten to this point. So that's kind of where we're at in the NFL. It's been, to your point, Joe, we get a little bit of a Super Bowl preview tonight. The more I see, the more I'm convinced we're going to get that Super Bowl rematch between the Eagles and the Chiefs. You're shaking your head. I don't know who's knocking off the Chiefs, and I don't know who's going to knock off the Eagles, health being the great equalizer, of course. I mean, honestly, who in the NFC is going to scare you right now?
The Niners.
No. They're going to be too banged up by the time we get to that point.
It's fair.
And Brock Purdy,
contingent upon their health.
And hey, Brock Purdy bounced back. Brock Purdy had a really good game.
Look, everyone else around him's healthy. Weird.
The perfect passer rating.
Weird.
Shout out to Brock Purdy, who I don't even know how the quarterback passer rating works. But if you say I was perfect, cool, I'll take it. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm still more convinced than ever that we are going to get that rematch. And Taylor Swift is a witch, right? So we're willing this into existence. She's going to take over the Super Bowl. And the families are meeting tonight.
Oh,
yeah.
The Kelsey and Swift family.
The Swift family.
I'm like, the five families? What are we talking about
the way things are running right now in the NFL, it kind of is like we're on the fine families, if you think about it. Big thanks to Graffiti for sponsoring Ovies and Gilio and all our conversations about the Carolina Panthers. So we will be doing an OG After Dark following the NC State Carolina game. We're going to be at the Breeze Through there by PNC Arena, Carter Finley Stadium. I guess you could drop by and say, hey, get some hydration. I don't know. Maybe are we putting people on mic?
Yeah.
All right, why not? Do I put the link out to the StreamYard?
Yeah.
Just people just popping on?
Yes. What are we doing it for if not?
All right.
The two of us?
Dude, it's going to be total chaos. You know that, right?
Correct.
All right. I'm in for it. I'm going to need some of that coffee.
Dark roast.
Yeah.
Get it. So good.
Absolutely going to need
all
some
times,
of that coffee.
At all times.
So we'll give you some more information about what we're going to do Saturday, OG After Dark. In the meantime, get all your tailgating needs at Breeze Through. Check them out. Locations across the Triangle and across North Carolina. Thanksgiving is Thursday. It's not too late to head on over to the Butcher's Market and get what you need for Thanksgiving. I'm talking appetizers, sides. If you're actually going to try to grill your turkey, smoke the turkey, they got all the things that you need there at Butcher's Market. Or if you don't want to do turkey, you want to do a lasagna, they got really great ground meat.
I know. I already went. I got the sausage and I got the ground beef. I'm all set for Wednesday.
Big fan of that. And big thanks to Mosquito and Pest Authority. Mosquito Authority, Pest Authority. Check them out, bugsbite.com. I got to email Hayes back. I'm catching up on things.
Yes, we've been given marching orders.
We have been, and I am really intrigued for next summer.
Mm-hmm.
This misting system.
I'm getting some termite bait.
I'm excited about this.
I had termites from mulch.
Yeah,
that I got.
Yeah,
from one of those stores.
Yep. I had a snake in my car from mulch, but
I was not happy. Not happy. And as you know, you have to have termite protection.
You do.
So you might as well get it from the best. That's Mosquito Authority, Pest Authority, bugsbite.com. Go save yourself some money. Punch in your zip code and you'll see all kinds of ways to save at bugsbite.com.
And we'll get out of here with some Hey Joe questions. Thanks to Oakwood Pizza Box. I believe we've got the wheels in motion.
Okay. So behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Wesley Dallas Durham calls me on Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Or like relatively early.
He texted me first and I said, that's a question for Jillian.
And he goes, and it's looking like it's going to be, we'll be in Raleigh next Saturday. And I was like, oh, great. Not that I don't want to see Wes.
We love Wes.
I didn't want the 8 o'clock start. He goes, hey, so if we end up in Raleigh, wink, wink, nod, nod, do you think on Friday, Anthony and Oakwood Pizza Box could get us 12 to 16 pizzas for the ESPN production crew? Mm-hmm. We'll be in Raleigh. We'll be in town. And I said, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Anthony will take care of you. So I texted Anthony and I said, hey, got some business coming your way from the ESPN peeps on Friday. Anthony, not open on Thursday this week, but
it was Thanksgiving.
All good.
All right. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, me too.
I'm excited about
that.
And
I told them both I would deliver the pizzas if necessary.
Do you need help?
Potentially.
Okay. Let me know.
Because I'm like, are you guys staying at the State View? And Wes was like, I don't know yet where we're staying. And I was like, oh, okay.
Well, let me know. If we got to deliver pizza, we'll deliver pizza.
Absolutely. We're all over that.
Thinking content. From Threads, firing Frank Reich after one season would make the Panthers look like a dysfunctional organization. And it would be if that happens. No one wants to play for a clown show. Shit like that is free repellent. Well, I'm not going to disagree with Marcus, but I also would point out there's only 32 of these jobs.
Yeah, I mean,
there's only 32 of these jobs.
Plus, Frank Reich has clearly proven this year he's not the right person for the job. No. Again, it was a great idea, but
it's not working out.
They need something to unlock Bryce Young and develop Bryce Young, and this is not the answer.
From Iggy, I need UNC in all whites versus red helmet, red jersey, white pants. If that happens, we're all the real winners on Saturday.
No, we want primary colors. These two schools refuse to give me the primary colors in other than baseball. So it irks me. I'm already irked, I'm sure.
Wait, have they not done primary colors yet?
Not in football.
Oh, because we've seen it in basketball, and it's great.
We've seen it once in basketball.
Okay. I still think about what could have been with the October pink combinations that Tom O'Brien would break out.
Yeah.
And they had an all pink uniform that was ready to go, but they happened to be in Chapel Hill that October. And I could only imagine an all pink NC State with the Carolina blue it would have looked like a baby's room exploded.
Gender reveal.
Oh my goodness. That would have been the ultimate gender reveal, right? State 1, it's a girl, like something like that, right? Anyway, we got from Todd from the mountain, UNC football is punching UNC football as UNC football watches. Yeah, that's a pretty apt description about UNC football. It's just this meme where it's bad. It's bad for UNC right now. The vibes around UNC are bad, but I think they'll be fine. I think ultimately I could see UNC winning, but that's neither here nor there. Is it me, or is the ACC network broadcast a lesser quality than the CW network?
I think they use, depending on which game it is, but they definitely use fewer cameras. I enjoy the CW.
Yes.
Because they prioritize that game. It's their one game. They it's still the Raycom people, but they go all out for it. And I'm all for those things. Little different innovations there. And obviously I'm partial to Tom Wormy and James Bates. I think they do a great job. So
look, you're never going to get an F-Boy Island read on the ACC network. And that's
my real issues with the ACC network are, maybe not the primetime game that they get, but the other ones where you're like, Wake against Pitt, like you're using like one fixed camera on the one sideline, and you're like, this is $1 billion industry, and you're relying on one camera because you don't feel like throwing a couple more out there because it's too expensive.
Well, you got to remember, Joe, ESPN only made $3 billion in profit.
Sure,
only 3.
Sure.
It's off from where it was a couple years ago. From David, who's having a worse season, North Carolina or Southern Cal? It doesn't matter because both Caleb Williams and Drake May are going to go tops in the draft as quarterbacks next year.
Man, USC losing to UCLA.
That's a tough look, man. That's a tough look.
Because UCLA is ready to fire Chip Kelly.
Yes, they were. Now what do you do? Now, here's the funny thing about Caleb Williams, who apparently did not talk to the media after that game. I don't care.
No surprise.
I don't care.
No, they have been babying everybody over there.
They have. There's that. That's a Lincoln Riley problem.
Yeah.
Not a Caleb Williams problem.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it does not matter. Because I know what's going to happen as we kind of as the week goes on and people are looking for things to talk about. Oh, what does this mean for his draft stock? Is that an NFL team want to take this guy who won't take on responsibility? Actually, I saw it already. Like Joe Burrow went and addressed the team and he speaks for the team. It's like, no, man. That's not how this works, especially in college. Caleb Williams will be just fine. And over to the YouTube comments, we got much more Frank Reich stuff. From Panther Gal, dude needs to be a little league coach if he loves the play calling because he's in over his head in the NFL. Called him Stanky Frankie. That's pretty good. Stanky Frankie.
I'm glad that there's people who can muster up the dislike.
I know, man.
Like it's just so.
So
it's just so vanilla.
From this guy.
So boring.
This guy, Carite, Colts fan here, just for the inevitable Frank Reich car crash carnage. The thing that needs to be understood is that Reverend Frank adores play calling. That's what he loves best about coaching. He's terrible at it, mind you, unless you think first down runs up the A gap or bubble screens. But the real mystery is not why he took the play card back, but why he gave it in the first place. Yes, that's a great question. We'll close on this. You talk about props to the people who are mustering the thing.
Yeah.
I was listening to Julian Council on the Locked On Panthers podcast.
Doing the Lord's work.
Dude. I actually said it to my son on the drive to school today. I said, because Julian always starts the podcast with, we're talking Panthers Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I might be reading into it, but I feel like as he went through the days of the week, he's like, and Wednesday and Thursday. Shit, I got to talk about this stuff on Friday too. Damn. And he's got to do the post-game ones too. Buddy, I'm sorry, Julian. I feel like we should just bring him on. Actually, we can't talk to him about UNC because do we need to send him this?
Yes. we've got what ails you, my friend.
Yeah, Julian, come on through, man. We got some Colonel Taylor, man. We'll go from there. That's going to wrap it up for today's show. We'll see you tomorrow for our super Thanksgiving episode.